Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Stretch, a shoe, on a shoe tree. English actor and theatrical producer noted for his lavish productions of Shakespeare, 1853 to 1917. A figure that branches from a single root. Genealogical tree. Force a person or an animal into a position from which he cannot escape. A tall perennial woody plant having a main trunk and branches forming a distinct elevated crown. Includes both gymnosperms and angiosperms. Chase an animal up a tree. The hunters treed the bear with dogs and killed it. Plant with trees. This lot should be treed so that the house will be shaded in summer. Stretch, a shoe, on a shoe tree. A wooden or metal device that is inserted into a shoe to preserve its shape when it is not being worn. English actor and theatrical producer noted for his lavish productions of Shakespeare, 1853 to 1917. A figure that branches from a single root. An interior angle formed by two meeting walls. A piano was in one corner of the room. A small concavity. A predicament from which a skillful or graceful escape is impossible. His lying got him into a tight corner. The intersection of two streets. Standing on the corner watching all the girls go by. Force a person or an animal into a position from which he cannot escape. Architecture. Solid exterior angle of a building, especially one formed by a cornerstone. A place off to the side of an area. He tripled to the right field corner. A projecting part where two sides or edges meet. He knocked off the corners. A remote area. In many corners of the world they still practice slavery. A temporary monopoly on a kind of commercial trade. A corner on the silver market. Gain control over. Corner the gold market. The point where three areas or surfaces meet or intersect. The corners of a cube. The point where two lines meet or intersect. The corners of a rectangle. Turn a corner. The car corners. Exercise designed to extend the limbs and muscles to their full extent. Occupy a large, elongated area. The park stretched beneath the train line. Corrupt, debase, or make impure by adding a foreign or inferior substance, often by replacing valuable ingredients with inferior ones. Lie down comfortably. To enjoy the picnic, we stretched out on the grass. The act of physically reaching or thrusting out. Extend or stretch out to a greater or the full length. Stretch out that piece of cloth. Increase in quantity or bulk by adding a cheaper substance. Stretch the soup by adding some more cream. Make long or longer by pulling and stretching. Stretch the fabric. An unbroken period of time during which you do something. There were stretches of boredom. The capacity for being stretched. Extend one's body or limbs. Let's stretch for a minute. We've been sitting here for over 3 hours. Extend one's limbs or muscles, or the entire body. A large and unbroken expanse or distance. A stretch of highway. A straightaway section of a racetrack. become longer by being stretched and pulled. The fabric stretches. Easily stretched. Stretch hosiery. Extend the scope or meaning of, often unduly. Stretch my patience. Extension to or beyond the ordinary limit. Running at full stretch. Having an elongated seating area. A stretch limousine. Pull in opposite directions. During the Inquisition, the torturers would stretch their victims on a rack. Having notably more length than width, being long and slender. An elongate tail tapering to a point. Make long or longer by pulling and stretching. Of a leaf shape, long and narrow. A two-dimensional shape. A two-dimensional shape. Be oriented. The weather vane points north. Sail close to the wind. Repair the joints of bricks. Point a chimney. Any of 32 horizontal directions indicated on the card of a compass. He checked the point on his compass. Be a signal for or a symptom of. Her behavior points to a severe neurosis. A specific identifiable position in a continuum or series or especially in a process. A distinct part that can be specified separately in a group of things that could be enumerated on a list. The main point on the agenda was taken up first. An outstanding characteristic. His acting was one of the high points of the movie. A V shape. The cannibal's teeth were filed to sharp points. A contact in the distributor. As the rotor turns, its projecting arm contacts them and current flows to the spark plugs. The dot at the left of a decimal fraction. Direct into a position for use. Point a gun. Indicate a place, direction, person, or thing, either spatially or figuratively. He pointed to the empty parking space. The property of a shape that tapers to a sharp tip. The gun muzzle's direction. He held me up at the point of a gun. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. The point of the arrow was due north. An isolated fact that is considered separately from the whole. A point of information. A wall socket. An instant of time. At that point I had to leave. A very small circular shape. A row of points. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. Give a point to. Intend something, to move towards a certain goal. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. A brief version of the essential meaning of something. Get to the point. A distinguishing or individuating characteristic. He knows my bad points as well as my good points. A geometric element that has position but no extension. A point is defined by its coordinates. A linear unit used to measure the size of type, approximately 1/72 inch. A promontory extending out into a large body of water. They sailed south around the point. A style in speech or writing that arrests attention and has a penetrating or convincing quality or effect. Be positionable in a specified manner. The gun points with ease. Indicate the presence of game by standing and pointing with the muzzle. The dog pointed the dead duck. Mark, a psalm text, to indicate the points at which the music changes. Mark, Hebrew words, with diacritics. Mark with diacritics. Point the letter. 1% of the total principal of a loan. It is paid at the time the loan is made and is independent of the interest on the loan. Sharp end. He stuck the point of the knife into a tree. The object of an activity. What is the point of discussing it? The precise location of something, a spatially limited location. She walked to a point where she could survey the whole street. The unit of counting in scoring a game or contest. He scored 20 points in the first half. An action aimed at evading an opponent. A deliberate coordinated movement requiring dexterity and skill. A move made to gain a tactical end. Act in order to achieve a certain goal. Perform a movement in military or naval tactics in order to secure an advantage in attack or defense. A plan for attaining a particular goal. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. A military training exercise. Cause to form a channel. Make a channel for. Provide with a channel. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. Send from one person or place to another. Cause to form a channel. Channelize a stream. Make a channel for. Provide with a channel. Channelize the country for better transportation. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. Send from one person or place to another. Plan and direct, a complex undertaking. Take somebody somewhere. Having no intervening persons, agents, conditions. In direct sunlight. Put an address on an envelope. Specifically design a product, event, or activity for a certain public. Lead, as in the performance of a composition. In a straight unbroken line of descent from parent to child. A direct descendant of the king. Cause to go somewhere. He directed all his energies into his dissertation. In precisely the same words used by a writer or speaker. A direct quotation. Without deviation. The path leads directly to the lake. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. Intend something, to move towards a certain goal. Criticism directed at her superior. Point or cause to go, blows, weapons, or objects such as photographic equipment, towards. Be in charge of. Being an immediate result or consequence. A direct result of the accident. Command with authority. He directed the children to do their homework. Direct in spatial dimensions. Proceeding without deviation or interruption, straight and short. A direct route. Give directions to, point somebody into a certain direction. I directed them towards the town hall. Guide the actors in, plays and films. Lacking compromising or mitigating elements, exact. The direct opposite. Moving from west to east on the celestial sphere, or, for planets, around the Sun in the same direction as the Earth. Of a current, flowing in one direction only. Direct current. Similar in nature or effect or relation to another quantity. A term is in direct proportion to another term if it increases, or decreases, as the other increases, or decreases. Straightforward in means or manner or behavior or language or action. A direct question. Use as a guide. They had the lights to guide on. Be a guiding or motivating force or drive. Take somebody somewhere. Something that offers basic information or instruction. Someone employed to conduct others. Someone who can find paths through unexplored territory. Pass over, across, or through. A model or standard for making comparisons. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. A structure or marking that serves to direct the motion or positioning of something. Someone who shows the way by leading or advising. Computer science. A tiny electromagnetic coil and metal pole used to write and read magnetic patterns on a disk. Be in charge of. Who is heading this project? A person who is in charge. The head of the whole operation. That which is responsible for one's thoughts, feelings, and conscious brain functions. The seat of the faculty of reason. I couldn't get his words out of my head. Be the first or leading member of a group and excel. This student heads the class. The educator who has executive authority for a school. The upper part of the human body or the front part of the body in animals contains the face and brains. He stuck his head out the window. Travel in front of. Go in advance of others. The procession was headed by John. The part in the front or nearest the viewer. He was at the head of the column. A line of text serving to indicate what the passage below it is about. The heading seemed to have little to do with the text. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. A difficult juncture. Matters came to a head yesterday. Forward movement. The ship made little headway against the gale. Oral stimulation of the genitals. They say he gives good head. A dense cluster of flowers or foliage. A head of cauliflower. The subject matter at issue. Under the head of minor Roman poets. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. The source of water from which a stream arises. They tracked him back toward the head of the stream. A natural elevation, especially a rocky one that jets out into the sea. Grammar. The word in a grammatical constituent that plays the same grammatical role as the whole constituent. A membrane that is stretched taut over a drum. An individual person. Tickets are $5 per head. A projection out from one end. The head of the nail. A rounded compact mass. The head of a comet. A single domestic animal. 200 head of cattle. A user of, usually soft, drugs. The office was full of secret heads. Be in the front of or on top of. The list was headed by the name of the president. Form a head or come or grow to a head. The wheat headed early this year. Nautical. A toilet on board a boat or ship. Remove the head of. Head the fish. Take its rise. These rivers head from a mountain range in the Himalayas. That part of a skeletal muscle that is away from the bone that it moves. The foam or froth that accumulates at the top when you pour an effervescent liquid into a container. The beer had a large head of foam. The front of a military formation or procession. The head of the column advanced boldly. The length or height based on the size of a human or animal head. He is 2 heads taller than his little sister. The pressure exerted by a fluid. A head of steam. The rounded end of a bone that fits into a rounded cavity in another bone to form a joint. The head of the humerus. The striking part of a tool. The head of the hammer. The tip of an abscess, where the pus accumulates. The top of something. The head of the stairs. To go or travel towards. Where is she heading? Usually plural, the obverse side of a coin that usually bears the representation of a person's head. Call heads or tails. An action aimed at evading an opponent. A deliberate coordinated movement requiring dexterity and skill. He made a great maneuver. A move made to gain a tactical end. Act in order to achieve a certain goal. He maneuvered to get the chairmanship. Perform a movement in military or naval tactics in order to secure an advantage in attack or defense. A plan for attaining a particular goal. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. A military training exercise. Act in order to achieve a certain goal. Perform a movement in military or naval tactics in order to secure an advantage in attack or defense. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. Castrated bull. Be a guiding or motivating force or drive. The teacher steered the gifted students towards the more challenging courses. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. An indication of potential opportunity. Direct oneself somewhere. A plant having hard lignified tissues or woody parts, especially stems. A plant having hard lignified tissues or woody parts, especially stems. Any road or path affording passage, especially a rough one. Computer science. One of the circular magnetic paths on a magnetic disk that serve as a guide for writing and reading data. Travel across or pass over. Go after with the intent to catch. The act of participating in an athletic competition involving running on a track. An endless metal belt on which tracked vehicles move over the ground. A course over which races are run. Evidence pointing to a possible solution. A distinct selection of music from a recording or a compact disc. The title track of the album. A line or route along which something travels or moves. The track of an animal. A bar or pair of parallel bars of rolled steel making the railway along which railroad cars or other vehicles can roll. A groove on a phonograph recording. A pair of parallel rails providing a runway for wheels. Carry on the feet and deposit. Track mud into the house. Make tracks upon. Observe or plot the moving path of something. Track a missile. Go after with the intent to catch. To lag or linger behind. Go after with the intent to catch. Move, proceed, or walk draggingly or slowly. John trailed behind his classmates. Drag loosely along a surface. Allow to sweep the ground. The toddler was trailing his pants. Evidence pointing to a possible solution. The trail led straight to the perpetrator. A path or track roughly blazed through wild or hilly country. A track or mark left by something that has passed. There is a trail of blood. Hang down so as to drag along the ground. The bride's veiled trailed along the ground. A spy employed to follow someone and report their movements. The rear part of a ship. Go after with the intent to catch. Any projection that resembles the tail of an animal. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The rear part of an aircraft. Remove or shorten the tail of an animal. The time of the last part of something. The tail of the storm. Remove the stalk of fruits or berries. The posterior part of the body of a vertebrate, especially when elongated and extending beyond the trunk or main part of the body. Usually plural, the reverse side of a coin that does not bear the representation of a person's head. Cut a furrow into a columns. Go after with the intent to catch. The policeman chased the mugger down the alley. United States politician and jurist who served as Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, 1808 to 1873. Pursue someone sexually or romantically. The act of pursuing in an effort to overtake or capture. A rectangular metal frame used in letterpress printing to hold together the pages or columns of composed type that are printed at one time. Cut a groove into. Chase silver. Go after with the intent to catch. Pursue someone sexually or romantically. A smooth textured sausage of minced beef or pork, usually smoked, often served on a bread roll. Go after with the intent to catch. The dog chased the rabbit. A hinged catch that fits into a notch of a ratchet to move a wheel forward or prevent it from moving backward. Someone who is morally reprehensible. You dirty dog. A dull, unattractive, unpleasant girl or woman. She's a real dog. A member of the genus Canis, probably descended from the common wolf, that has been domesticated by man since prehistoric times, occurs in many breeds. The dog barked all night. Metal supports for logs in a fireplace. Informal term for a man. You lucky dog. A label written or printed on paper, cardboard, or plastic that is attached to something to indicate its owner, nature, price, etc. Go after with the intent to catch. A small piece of cloth or paper. Attach a tag or label to. A game in which one child chases the others. The one who is caught becomes the next chaser. A label associated with something for the purpose of identification. Semantic tags were attached in order to identify different meanings of the word. Provide with a name or nickname. Sports. The act of touching a player in a game, which changes their status in the game. Supply, blank verse or prose, with rhymes. Touch a player while he is holding the ball. Go after with the intent to catch. Go in search of or hunt for. Botany. A living organism lacking the power of locomotion. Put or set, seeds, seedlings, or plants, into the ground. Let's plant flowers in the garden. Put firmly in the mind. Buildings for carrying on industrial labor. They built a large plant to manufacture automobiles. Fix or set securely or deeply. He planted a knee in the back of his opponent. Set up or lay the groundwork for. An actor situated in the audience whose acting is rehearsed but seems spontaneous to the audience. Place into a river. Plant fish. Place something or someone in a certain position in order to secretly observe or deceive. Plant bugs in the dissident's apartment. Something planted secretly for discovery by another. The police used a plant to trick the thieves.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.